I was trying to decide whether I was going to film today because my eyes look a little bloodshot. This lighting isn't the best. It's making my eyes look kind of weird. And then I thought back to what my eyes looked like at the beginning of the month. And I realised that what they look like just now totally isn't an excuse at all for not filming. Because I thought the story of what my eyes looked like at the beginning of the month might be quite a fun story time, if you enjoy that sort of thing. So let me tell you the story of my latest medical drama, and it involved this eye. Now, before I go any further, I should just mention that this video is going to be quite descriptive when it comes to medical weirdness. There's going to be photos of what my eye looked like. If you're a little squeamish, if you don't want to hear the details, this maybe isn't the video for you. And thank you so much for watching this far. If you click away now, that's totally fine. Thank you for stopping by. And maybe I'll see you next week, because I really don't want anybody to feel like they have to watch this video in order to... I don't know, I don't think there's anybody who feels like they need to watch all of my videos, but if for some reason you felt like you had to watch this video but it was going to make you very uncomfortable, please don't watch this video, just click away, go watch something else. And yeah, let's start the story. At the beginning of December, I had a cold, which isn't particularly unusual. It's winter, everybody's ran down, there's bugs going about everywhere. And I ended up with the cold, which isn't particularly unusual. But then near the end of the week, the cold spread to my eye. Now, people have told me that isn't a thing. It totally is a thing. Colds can spread to your eye. And I had a day or two where I had conjunctivitis in this eye. And then finally, everything seemed to clear up. Everything seemed to be okay. And I was due to go into work the day after all of this happened. And I was feeling okay. I was thinking everything's clearing up, I haven't got conjunctivitis, my cold is starting to go away, everything's going to be good. And I wanted everything to go good because I'd had some time away from work, I hadn't seen people for a while, and I just wanted to look my best. I didn't want to look unhealthy or anything. So, as I was getting ready for bed, I noticed that this side of my face looked particularly unusual. Now, generally, both my eyes look pretty much the same, but on this side of my face, this area was all swollen, and it was swollen in a way that made my face totally change on this side. It wasn't really bad swelling, but it was noticeable to me that I didn't look like what I normally did. So I went to my mum, because mums are great at knowing things and when you should go and see a doctor and things. And I showed her and she was like, that's unusual, but it will be okay. So I went to bed and just hoped that whatever had happened on this side of my face would clear up without any intervention. The next morning I wake up and I had a black eye, and basically this whole side was starting to swell. The swelling had kind of started spreading to my eyelids, and I just really didn't look like myself anymore. I looked like I'd been in a fight or been punched by somebody, and although it didn't hurt, I was very aware that the swelling that I expected to go down had just kept swelling overnight and wasn't showing any signs of stopping. So I showed my mum again, and this time she was a lot more concerned, and she was like, when the doctor's open, you need to call and make an appointment. So that's what I did. I go into work, and right away I feel quite self-conscious. Firstly, because I've been away for a while, and people haven't seen me. And secondly, because my eye, to me, seemed really, really bad. It felt to me like I was disfigured. And there's nothing particularly bad with having a disfigurement. But when I know that my face isn't supposed to look like what it did, it was concerning to me, and I didn't know how to stop it and things. So I went into work and I thought maybe people won't mention it, maybe it won't be noticeable to people. And the first person I spoke to went, "What happened to you?" And I was like, okay, this isn't going to be subtle. People are going to realise that I have a black eye, and I'm going to have to speak about it. So I basically told her what had happened, and she was like, yeah, you need a doctor's appointment. So as soon as the doctor's surgery opened, I tried calling. It took me a while to get through and get an appointment, but finally I had an appointment for later that day. Everybody's expectation at this point, including mine, was that the doctor would see me and then he'd give me some antibiotics, and that would start to reduce the swelling again. But the doctor that I saw was quite concerned, and he wasn't an eye doctor, and he was concerned that if he sent me away with antibiotics, that might not be the answer. So the doctor that I saw made an appointment for me at the hospital later that day, and that's when I started to think, what's going on? He basically gave me an envelope with some of my medical records in it, and I didn't look at it. I didn't want to look at it. I didn't want to see what it said. And basically he sent me to the hospital. So on the way to the hospital, I'm getting in touch with my boss, I'm getting in touch with my other colleagues to make sure everything's okay. And they're all like, just get to the hospital, get it seen to, we'll see you later this week, it really doesn't matter. So I get up to the hospital, and at this point I thought that in the waiting room I would see people who looked worse than me. Nobody looked worse than me. In fact, there was even a guy a couple of rows in front of me who I'd spoken to a bit, and I heard him at one point whisper to his wife and say, "That looks really sore." And I was just like, it is really sore, thank you. But again, I don't mind people asking questions, and I don't mind people noticing that there was something on my face that was kind of growing and looking concerning. But yeah, it was kind of funny that he felt the need to whisper. And at this point I was calling myself Quasimodo because I just wasn't looking normal. And I just thought the best thing to do in this case was to laugh. It was being sorted. And all I could do in the meantime was try and make light of it. My friends were sending me jokes and things, and that was really cool. So I finally got to see a doctor, and she'd done a basic eye test on me to make sure what my sort of vision was at this point. And although my top eyelid was really swollen, I could still see okay. And we basically figured out that the eye was fine, but the eyelid had some kind of infection. So she gave me antibiotics, and she told me that I'd have a follow-up appointment in a couple of weeks just to make sure that everything was okay. I went home and started using this stuff, and it did go down slightly, and then it started swelling again. And again, I just thought, well, maybe the swelling will go down overnight. How quickly do these antibiotics work? And the next morning I woke up and my eye looked even worse. And this time it had spread to the bottom lid as well. And I was starting to have problems seeing out of this eye now because everything was so swollen up. So I called the doctors again. I called the hospital again, sorry. And they basically ran me through some quick questions to make sure that it wasn't affecting my brain or anything. And after we basically said that it wasn't affecting my brain, they said, okay, come in tomorrow and we'll have a look at it. I wake up on Wednesday, after I've called the doctors on Tuesday for an emergency appointment, and my eye is starting to look like what it did on Monday. It's not looking any better, but it's looking a lot better than it did the day before when I felt the need to call the hospital again. And I started to feel a bit silly for making another appointment, but everybody I spoke to at work was like, no, you need to go to that appointment, trust me, just get it seen to, make sure it's okay. So I went back to the hospital again, and this time I saw the same doctor that I'd seen on Monday, but also I think her boss was in the room, or another doctor, just for a second opinion, and he was also looking at it, and I was showing them pictures of what it looked like the day before. And again, they'd just done some quick tests to make sure that everything was okay, and they were like, yes, as you say, it's looking better than it did yesterday. Again, your vision is okay. just keep on with that course of antibiotics, and if you need to, call us back again. So again, I went home and I just done the course of antibiotics, and then it started to properly go down, and now, touch wood, everything is okay. I went back to my follow-up appointment and I was officially discharged. So that was my crazy December. I didn't expect that to happen, and I'm very grateful to everybody who helped me. I can't really complain about the service I had from anywhere because everybody was totally great with me. And thank you to the doctors and the hospital if they're watching. I doubt they are. But yeah, that was my story. So I'm sorry if you've seen some squeamish photos while I'm telling this story. I'm especially sorry if you saw me in person and I gave you a fright. While I looked particularly strange and concerning. And that's the story of how my eye just decided to start swelling. And I'm glad that it's back down again now. So thank you very much for watching, everybody. I hope you enjoyed this story time. I do have another story time I might make about a medical thing that happened to me. It's a lot funnier than this one, but I also feel it's a lot more personal. And guys maybe won't understand it so much if you maybe get my drift here. So I don't know whether I'll make that one or not. If anybody wants to hear another medical story time, let me know down below. And I'll maybe tell you a bit more about another doctor's appointment that I've had this year. And thank you so much for watching, everybody. Cheerio.